I'm a little perplexed by the title of this mantle, attracting best teachers to challenging schools, and maybe it's because I'm out of the cultural context, or maybe because I'm too literal a reader. But I need to go through it sort of piece by piece. And I'll probably incur another fine by mentioning Finland in a second. Attracting the best. So I think I know what that means. Finland and Singapore are attracting the very top college graduates to go into teaching. In the United States, it is 24% of top third college graduates who go into teaching. And in low-income communities, it's 11%. So we have a major equity problem just in terms of the distribution of talent. But overall, we have a problem because our top graduates from university, I should say university, not college here, are not the most outstanding individuals. At the same time, there is a presumption that academic ability is highly correlated with teaching ability. And these days with Common Core, which is our rigorous standards, there's an assumption that you have to know your content incredibly well in order to teach well. It seems like a logical set of assumptions. But if we're trying to attract those individuals, it doesn't stand to reason we're necessarily attracting the best teachers. So I've gone out and I've asked over the past couple of years every researcher I could find, how can you forecast, how can you predict who is going to be the best teachers? And I'm interested in this because if I go out and spend resources and energy trying to train individuals to get better and better, I want to be training the people who are likely to be successful. And I have not gotten a very good answer. The best answer that I've gotten was from a researcher and economist at Stanford named Eric Hanushek, who said, the people who are the best teachers are the people who are the best teachers. That is to say that when you start out and you're doing well, you're likely to do well over time. So I went and asked an organization called TNTP, the New Teacher Project in the United States, about their experience. And they've spent a lot of resources and energy studying this and working on selection. They said that selection really doesn't matter that much, that they wouldn't invest heavily in selection, that what they like to do is get people who are kind of in the zone and then essentially watch them teach over the course of a couple of months and deselect those who are not effective and stick with those who are more likely to work out. And even if you look at organizations like Teach for America, and I don't know whether this is true of Teach First here, it is impossible to imagine education reform and the influx of talent in the United States without Teach for America. But Teach for America core members, as a teaching pipeline, is not doing substantially differently or better than the regular teachers in the regular schools. And so, given that Teach for America is attracting the best and the brightest, it doesn't necessarily stand to reason that that's the long-term teaching pipeline. So I guess I would say that the question is how to attract the people who are most likely to be successful. And to that extent, I think what's needed, and this is not based on a random controlled trial, but really on experience, is that we need people with the mindset that has two factors. One, that all students, regardless of where they've grown up and regardless of their circumstances and whatever it is that's oppressing them, will be able to succeed at the highest level. And I, as the teacher, am responsible for that result. That I will not look through the magnifying glass at the tics and idiosyncrasies of my students and their community, but rather I will look in the mirror and take responsibility for getting results for my students. I will be open to feedback. I know that I'm not going to be successful, especially at first. I'm not the best teacher coming out the door. I'm going to be open to feedback, and I'm going to improve. We're looking for a group of people that's diverse. We're looking for people who have a connection to the community where they're going to be teaching, and we're looking for people who are mission-driven to get to the outcome. And to that extent is my question about challenging schools. It feels like really vague and confusing language because if we mean low-performing schools, if challenging schools means low-performing schools, forget about it. You're not going to attract people, and you shouldn't attract people in the first instance to go to low-performing schools. If you want the best talent to come to your school, make it high-performing. And if you want to ruin people's prospects for staying in the teaching profession, put them in the most challenging schools and the most challenging classrooms in the very beginning of their careers. Secondly, if we're talking about low-income students, when we say challenging schools, we're being incredibly disrespectful. I personally don't think low-income students are by definition challenging. I find my own children, or middle-class children, I find them more challenging than the children in the schools that I've started. So I think we need to be careful there. If challenging means that we are attracted to the mission of making a demonstrable change in the lives of our students, and have the greatest opportunity to do that with students who are the most disadvantaged, then that is something that is going to be very attractive to people who want to go into this profession. I think we heard from the research earlier that 93% of teachers in the United States are interested in doing the job of making a difference in the lives of kids. So I would offer 5 thoughts about how we might concretize this and things that we might do. The first is working on the match of people to go into the profession in the first place. 40% of 18-year-olds in the United States have thoughts about going into teaching, but by the time they're 22 or 23, it's only 10%, which means we're losing 75% of potential teachers during their undergraduate years, at the same time that 70% of America's teachers major in education as undergraduates. So what should we do? We should be very happy for people to concentrate, to major in math and science and English and history, future teachers of those subjects, but we should give them opportunities to work in schools in low-income communities and find whether or not they're good at or attracted to teaching. So let them tutor, let them teach summer school, give them some kind of undergraduate residency experience while they're majoring in these subjects. It's the first thing that I think we can do. Those clinical experiences will help sort this thing out very, very, very nicely. Second thing is, and we heard a little bit about this earlier, we need a year-long apprenticeship system. We need a year-long apprenticeship system. When undergraduates major in education, they're getting 5 weeks of student teaching is not enough. A whole year nested in the classroom of a really good teacher is the best way to develop somebody to be good at the profession. We should probably define what best teaching is, because I think we take it for granted. I mean, this is about building relationships with students. It's about engaging students. It's about significantly increasing the rigor of the instruction. It's about shifting the ratio from the teacher talking to the student talking and the student doing the work. It's about checking for understanding. If I'm teaching and covering material but the kids aren't learning, it's not really teaching, certainly not best teaching. And it's about moving the needle, moving outcomes for kids. And that's hard work, and it needs a lot of practice before you start doing it full-time in your classroom. Third, I think this was referenced earlier, both by Sir Michael and by the Member of Parliament. You train people, you attract them, you put them in schools. If they shut their door and they're teaching in isolation, they ain't going to get better and they ain't going to like it very much. And you need not a charismatic, I think maybe Tony Blair was talking about charismatic leadership. That's not what you need. You need technical leadership where the head teacher knows how to teach well and goes in the classroom and observes teachers and gives them really helpful feedback on how to get better. The best teachers that I've seen are getting constant observation and feedback. That speed of that observation feedback loop is what's making them better. One of the things that was most impressive to me about King Solomon Academy is they have a bunch of teacher leaders in the school. We're making sure that the novice teachers are getting tons of observation cycles. And then fourth, you need really strong academic and instructional systems in a school. One of the reasons why teachers find the job so challenging is not only because they have to teach, they have to be on their feet so many hours a day teaching, but they essentially have to reinvent the wheel. They have to write the lessons and create the curriculum and build all these systems when schools don't have these things. So if we want to attract and keep great teachers, we've got to build those systems. And the last thing is, we've got to start changing the paradigm of school. I bet you the schools that we have here in the UK have been around as long as when Westminster Abbey was built. A teacher standing in front of 30 students, teacher delivering instruction to the middle of the class. It's time to change. Technology can help. If we can figure out a way to empower a new generation of future leaders to reinvent what that would look like in the UK, that will attract them to teaching and attract them to the profession and potentially make a difference in the lives of students in need. Thank you.
Thank you.